स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भृगो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ॐ त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्यां द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। ओम गुरुदेव भगवान शिव शंकर भोलेनाथ कैलाशपति महाराज की जय। भगवान व्यास जी महाराज की जय। शंकराचार्य भगवान की जय। स्वामी चिन्मयानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी दयानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी प्रबुधानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी शुद्धानंद भगवान की जय। साध्वी आनंद ज्योति जी की जय। सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय। माता पिता की जय। सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय। सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय। सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता chapter number 6, and we will see verse number 11 and 12 today, where Bhagwan is going to teach about where to sit and with what to sit for meditation. He is going to tell how to meditate. Meditation, he says, meditation requires a discipline, and that discipline is going to be explained by Bhagwan in detail. How should one, in which asana one should sit, on which asana one should sit, what ahar should one take so that he doesn't have problems while his mind is not diverted while meditating because of the food or because of the postures of sitting. मेडिटेशन के लिए जो है बहुत डिसिप्लिन की ज़रूरत है। किस तरह से बैठना है, क्या खाना खाना चाहिए, क्या भोजन करना चाहिए, किस मुद्रा में बैठना चाहिए, कहाँ बैठना चाहिए, कैसे बैठना चाहिए, ये सब हम वर्स नंबर 11 एंड 12 में भगवान हमें सिखाएंगे कि कैसे करना है। इससे पहले भगवान ने हमें बताया कि एक योगी जो है, may the yogi always connect the mind to the object of meditation. And now how to do it is going to be discussed here in verse number 11 and 12. Let us first recite verse number 11 and 12. शुचो देशे प्रतिष्ठाप्य स्थिर्मासनमात्मनः नात्युच्छिद्रनातिनित्यम् न चेलाजिन्कुशोत्तरम् तत्रैकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यच्चित्तेन्द्रियक्रियः उपविशासने युञ्जाय उद्गम आत्मविशुद्धये तत्रम् एकाग्रं मनः कृत्वा यच्चित्तेन्द्रियक्रियः उपविशय आसने युञ्चयात् योगम आत्मविशुद्धये. I am not that great reciter, but still I am trying my level best to recite, and I don't practice before reading here. I should have done it, but I don't get time to practice before coming on to the class. Swachau means in a clean. Deshe, place. Shochau, deshe, clean place. Sthiram, firm. Na ati uchcharitam, not too high. Na ati nicham, nor too low. Chaila ajena kausa uttaram, a piece of soft cloth, a skin and a grass mat layered in reverse order. Asanam, seat. Atmanaha, one's. Pratisthapyaha, having arranged. Tatra, there. Asane, on the seat. Upavaishya, sitting. Manah, mind. Ekagram, one pointed, absorbed in the object of meditation. Kartava, making. Yachit indriya kriyaha, one who has mastered the mind and the senses. Atma vishuddhaye, for the purification of the mind. Yogam, meditation. Yunjayat, practice. Having arranged one's seat made of piece of soft cloth, a skin and a grass mat layered in the reverse order, in a clean place, firm, not too high nor too low, sitting there on the seat, making one's mind one pointed, absorbed in the object of meditation. May the one who has mastered the mind and senses practice meditation for purification of mind. In this verse, the word asana, asan is used for actual seat upon which the meditator should sit. How you sit is called asana, which Krishna discusses later. There are two asanas, two ways. Asan means the place, the seat on which the meditator sit, and another asan is the posture, how you sit. The word swachau deshe, swachha deshe, describe the place where one sits, meaning that it should be a clean place. You cannot sit in a garage. For instance, simply because you bought a house that has a garage and you do not have a car to park in it, the place of meditation must be clean. Absolutely clean environment. For every action, everything you want to do, you require an appropriate place. And meditation is no exception. It requires a place that is inspiring. If not inspiring, at least clean. So Krishna says, Swachho Deshe. In his commentary of this verse, Shankara adds that the place should be also be quiet. Vivikta, quiet place. Clean and quiet place with a nice asan made up of a clean cloth, a skin, and a grass. A riverside, a mountain, or some wooded area is considered to be clean and quiet because there is usually no one there, and the natural surroundings tend to be inspiring for a place to be inspiring. For a place to be inspiring means conducive to meditation. There should be nothing to draw your attention away from meditation, and a clean, quiet place meets this requirement. In such places, people can observe nature and spend time with themselves. They need not be always meditating, but they can be meditative while watching. पहाड़ों को देखना, सुंदर नदी बहते हुए गंगा तट पर बहते हुए देखना. This does not mean that you must say, I have to meditate and therefore I have to find a mountain or a riverside. By your own action, you can make the place clean. Wherever you are, you make that place where you can sit quietly. Does this mean that you have to drive away the people who may be there? No, you need not do that. Nor can you do it if the people are part of your life. How can you might ask then? How then you might ask, are you going to meditate? Find a quiet corner to meditate. A quiet place in your own home, in your own house, where you are not disturbed. Maybe a place where you have kept your mandir. Just sit, just clean it, and with some beautiful asana, sit on the asana and then be with yourself. Finding a quiet corner to meditate. You can find a time early in the morning, perhaps before others get up to do meditation. When everyone is sleeping and you are the only one interested in meditation, that is the good time to do it. If others in the house were interested in meditation and also want to do it early in the morning, it could be a problem. So by getting up a little earlier, you have a quiet place. Some quiet corner is always available. Or if your home is always noisy, you can go to a nearby park or some other quiet place. When Krishna says here that one should arrange his or her own asana, he does not mean it in possessive sense. It is not that you have to have a particular seat upon which you must sit every day. This is not the emphasis here. Rather, your asana seat of meditation is in terms of what is more conducive to meditation. For example, the seat should be positioned firmly, meaning that it should not be wobbled. It should not wobble. It should not do dugdugi. The seat may be a bench, a plank, or whatever, but it should be firm. Sthira. It should not be too high. Na ati ucharita, a seat from which you could fall, nor too low. Na ati nicha, meaning that you should not sit directly on the ground, lest you be bothered by insect and dampness. So it should not be on the ground directly. There should be some seat, because the body has tendency to become very relaxed in meditation, and when even fall asleep. The fear of falling will be there if the asana is too high. Instead of meditating, you will be afraid and then distracted by the thoughts that you should not be afraid. Similarly, if you sit directly on the ground, there may be fear of being bitten by a creepy, crawly creatures. A rare concern for those who inhabited in the jungle area of India. Na ataya uchirata na ati nicha can also be taken in another way. Some people think that if they want to meditate, they should go to the higher altitudes, ati ucharita, or into a cave below the ground, ati nicha. Here Krishna advises against both locations. Meditation may seem to be very successful at the higher altitude, like Gangotri at about 10,000 feet, because the person who meditates will have no disturbance or his or her mind. But this is because the mind cannot think due to lack of oxygen. We meditate with a thinking mind, not an incapacitated mind. So mind should be a thinking mind. Underline the point. Should not be a sleeping mind or incapacitated mind. Therefore, to incapacitate the mind by going to high altitude is not an accomplishment. In fact, you do not even know what is going on. Arranging one's asana is too low a place is also a problem for the same reason. There may be no sounds to disturb you in a cave dug into the ground, but again there is a problem of mind not being able to think because the oxygen supply is extremely limited in such places. Therefore, Krishna says that the seat of meditation should not be too high, na ataya ucharita, nor too low, na ati nicha. In other words, neither on the mountain nor top or nor under the ground. The significance of the materials of the traditional asana. Krishna mentions one final thing about the asana itself. Chaila ajina kusha uttaram. Chaila means a soft cloth. Ajaina means a skin, such as of deer or tiger skin used by ancient sages. And kusha is grass mat. The word uttara completes the compound, referring to the others order in which these three materials are to be placed, one over the other. When three materials are given, one need to know what should be over what, because it can be done in several ways. For instance, if you arrange the asana by first placing a soft cloth on the ground or floor, on top of which you put up the skin and then the grass mat, you will not be able to sit there, because to sit on a mat made of grass is a problem. I assure you, Shankara confirmed here that the order to be followed is the other way around, viparita, with the kusha on the bottom, then ajina, on the top of which is the soft cloth. Only then is the asana called chaila ajina kusha uttara. All this had to be said because meditation should not be done on a damp ground. In those days, all dwellings had mud floor, and the benches or seats were made out of clay. If a person were to sit in meditation on such a asana, would these three layers of material there, after 3 months their mind may have bent in the right direction, but their legs would be unable to bend at all, the knees having the tendency to develop arthritis and exposed to dampness. So to avoid the dampness, the kusha was recommended, on top of which was placed a furred skin like a deer skin, to make the asan warm. Finally, to avoid irritation from the furred skin, a piece of cloth was placed on top of it. This does not mean that you must find a deer in order to arrange your asan for meditation. This is simply what was done at a particular time. The skin of deer was often chosen because the deer is one animal that is considered to be very clean, since it will not touch anything that any other tongue has touched. In the Indian religious culture also, there is a very common custom. No one takes a bite of something and then share it with another person. Only in certain instances will people eat what has already been touched by the tongue of another. Food that has been offered to the Lord can be eaten, which is not a problem anyway, because the Lord has not actually touched it with the tongue. Similarly, food offered to one's forefathers through the Brahmanas and from who performs the ritual called Shraddha is also eaten. The forefathers are invoked in the Brahmanas and then the food is eaten by the Brahmana. Again, the forefathers have not actually touched the food. Finally, a wife will eat from the same plate of her husband after he has eaten, and a Sishya will do the same after the Guru has eaten. These are the exceptions of eating food that has been touched by others. I actually tasted this trait in deer when I was in Deer Park one day. This is what Swamiji is saying. Swamiji was actually in a deer park one day. He gave the deer some bananas and they ate them. Then I put my tongue on another banana and gave it to one of the deer. It sniffed at the banana and walked away. Whether an American deer would be so careful about what it eats, I don't know. Swamiji says he doesn't know about this. It seems to be nature of the deer. Besides being clean, the deer has enough fur on the skin to be very soft. There was also a rule about the skin that was to be used for one's asana. It was not to be one that someone gave you or one that had been taken from deer that had been killed. Some hunter would sometime kill a deer and try to give the skin to sadhu. Therefore, sadhu had to hunt for a dead deer and ensure that it has died naturally, not killed by hunter. No, a deer which has died naturally. Nowadays it is not required. Please understand. Nowadays a ready-made asan is already there in the market. You can just simply purchase that of hardly 100-150 rupees. You can purchase that asan. It is also available in Khadi Gram Udyog. You can purchase and buy a lakdi ka patta, lakdi pata, which has a plank and then have a 2-inch stand on which the plank is, and you can keep the asan on that and sit. That is the best way. For me, I follow that process. That is the best way to sit on a pata with a ready-made asan from Khadi Gram or from any shop, any cloth shop which sells asan. Buy a small, beautiful asans. That is enough. Nowadays you don't require deer skin. Don't do it, please. The purpose of meditation. Having arranged your seat of meditation, what are you to do? The verb here is yunjayat, unjayat, meaning may one practice. And what are you to practice? Meditation, yoga. Why? For steadiness and purification of the mind alone. Atma Vishuddhaye, not for anything else. Gaining knowledge of Atma is accomplished only by inquiry, vichara, which requires Atma Vishuddhi. The obstructions in the mind that prevents this knowledge from taking place have to be removed. All the obstructions are to be removed. That is why meditation is to be done. Meditation is to be done. First thing is to remove the obstruction in the mind that prevents the knowledge about self from taking place. This removal of obstruction in the mind, antahkarana pratibandhaka nivritti, is done through dhyanam, meditation. Therefore, Krishna says here, may one practice meditation for purification of the mind. Yunjayat yogam atma vishuddhaye. Sitting on the asana described earlier, may there be absorption, samadhana, into the object of meditation. How is this to be done? By making the mind single pointed. Ekagram manah kratava. Agraha means what is in front, and refer here to what is to be meditated on. That thing, that being one thing alone, that is only one thing that is to be meditated upon. Thus Krishna is saying to bring the mind to the object of meditation and let it be absorbed there. The person who does meditation is described once again as Yata Chitta Indriya Kriya, one who has mastery over the mind, senses and their various activities. Because we tend to take this qualification lightly, it is repeated over and over again, and since it has been repeated so often, we should take it seriously. This means that the sense which are usually directed outward and withdrawn along with the other activity of the mind, and the person who does this is called Yata Chitta Indriya Kriya. Being such a person, may he or she meditate yogam yunjayat unjayat. Why should the person meditate? For purification of the mind. Atma vishuddhayet. In this context, Atma refers to the antahkarana, the mind, and not Satchit Ananda Atma. As Satchit Ananda Atma is already Vishuddha and needs no purification. Vishuddhi can also be taken in different sense. To be free from the hold of raga dveshas is Shuddhi. Vishuddhi can also be in terms of old memories. Khasya, that comes up unexpectedly in contemplation with the mind is when the mind is quiet. These memories lie under the surface and are like the decaying organic matter that lies under the water, producing certain gases that bubble up on the surface. A pond can be quiet and clean 1 minute, but then if you keep watching, you will suddenly see something coming up. Blub, blub, blub. Why do bubbles come up? Because there is something underneath. Meditation is both prayerful and contemplative. The mind is quietened by meditation, which can be either contemplative meditation or purely prayerful meditation. Prayerful meditation is on Brahman with qualities, Saguna Brahma, whereas contemplative meditation is on Brahman without qualities, Nirguna Brahma. Here the words are such that you can take them to mean both Saguna Brahma and Nirguna Brahma meditation, as you will see later when the object of meditation, Dheya, is discussed. In fact, meditation includes both, because you start with the prayerful meditation and ends with contemplative meditation. You start with Saguna Brahma, the Brahman which have all the gunas, and end your meditation. When you keep on meditating on Saguna Brahma, slowly, with the recognition it becomes Nirguna Brahma. When certain peace, Shanti is gained, the meditation is, the mind is composed, tranquil, and in the tranquil mind, various thoughts may occur. These thoughts are to be understood as khasyas, memories that may pop up in the quiet mind at any time without by any seeming connection or relevance. When you understand meditation properly, your thoughts will not frighten you. You need to be. You need not think you are disturbed. You just let the thoughts bubble up and remain a witness. When you understand meditation properly, your thoughts will not frighten you. You need not think you are disturbed. You just let the thoughts bubble up and remain the witness. Let the bubbles keep on bursting. Keep silencing them. Just keep silently. This is Bhagavan is going to explain how to do that also. Generally, when these thoughts come, you take them as yourself. But here in the seat of meditation, because you have certain composure, it is possible for you to discover a distance between yourself and these bubbles of thoughts. So you are neither disturbed by them nor you need to try to avoid them. Just be an observer, a sakshi. Understand the thoughts as they are and do not be afraid of them. Let them rise and watch them go away like so many bubbles on the surface of the quiet pond. This is what Krishna means here when he says that for purifying mind, may one practice meditation. Atma Vishuddhayet Yogam Yunjayat. Prayer can bring about Atma Vishuddhi because it brings about certain changes on your part, a glad acceptance of what has gone before or what has happened in your life. Usually we spend our lives fighting against this. This glad acceptance of the past requires an intimate acceptance on your part, a prayerful acceptance of what has already happened. Therefore, prayerful meditation takes care of your raga dveshas. In terms of the past, what I would have liked to have happened, what I should have done, what should not have happened to me, and so on. All the things that usually bothers a person. This is called Atma Vishuddhi. And again the release of the various kashas and samkarshas, impressions that are deep within the person, those unassimilated, undigested, hurtful experience that are stored in form of memories is called Atma Vishuddhi. All these memories will come, your past memories. When you sit quietly, all your memories, past memories, good, bad, and everything will come. Identifying myself with the thoughts or the physical body, thinking that anything that happens to the body happens to me, is an obstruction. Pratibandhaka, a great impurity, ashuddhi, for the one who desire liberation. This identification has to be removed. Anything that has to be removed that is unclean is called Vishuddhi, Ashuddhi. To eliminate Ashuddhi, contemplation is helpful. Contemplation is not Atma Jnana, it is Atma Vishuddhi. Please understand this. There is a fluctuation in the light. Since Atma Gyan is Vritti Jnana, it can only take place by the operation of a pramana. Pramana Vichara alone produces Vritti Jnana and destroys self-ignorance. And for this Vritti Jnana to take place, the various Pratibandhakas that are there due to Raga Dveshas, Kasyas and Viparita Bandhava Bhavanas have to be removed, and this removal is taken care of by dhyana meditation. So first all these bubbles will come, all these memories, right from you can't believe the deepest of the memories. Praman vichar alone produces vritti jnana and destroys self ignorance. And for this vritti jnana to take place, the various pratibandhakas that are there due to raga, dveshas, khasyas or viparita bhavanas have to be removed. And this removal is taken care by dhyana meditation. Saying that pramana vichara alone produces knowledge does not mean that you give meditation or prayer a lesser place. Please understand. There is no lesser place. In fact, because meditation is for Atma Vishuddhi, it occupies an important position in the life of the seeker. Thus, Krishna says, may one do meditation, yogam ujjayat, yogam. This is an important point to be noted because it is commonly thought that Vedanta is only theory and it is dhyana, the practice of meditation, that produces the knowledge. This is not true. Dhyan is for Atma Vishuddhi, not for Atma Jnana. Even though ultimately it enables Atma Jnana to take place, the knowledge itself depends entirely upon Antakarana Vishuddhi because it depends on mind that is fit for knowledge. In making the mind fit for knowledge, dhyan is important. Although there is a certain order involved here in terms of dhyan being necessary for the first step of preparing the mind, dhyan itself does not produce knowledge. The vritti jnana produced by pramana vichara alone produces knowledge. I hope you understood this. Well, right, we will do it again. मैं नहीं समझा भी तो बहुत टाइम लगेगा. ध्यान is important. ध्यान is to remove all the obstructions. ध्यान is for Atma Vishuddhi, mind to prepare mind for knowledge. Having described the asana and what is to take place while in the seat of meditation, Bhagavan then talks about how one is to sit. In verse number 13 and 14, sitting postures, object of meditation and nature of meditator. This will be discussed. This we will discuss tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnad Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Gurubhyo Namaha. See, if we understand meditation properly, it is a big help. A sthir mind is the basic requirement. Om